So the last video, which I'm doing all today, but the last video you guys seen yesterday was about recessives. This video is going to be about codominance. For instance, lessers. You also have Mojaves. You also have leopards. You also have pastel. You also have, there's so much. You have black pastel, cinnamon. The list, it literally goes on and on and on. Champagne, for instance. Enchi. I literally could keep going. Yellow belly, fire. Literally, it does not stop. There's just so many, and that's just what I listed was just basic beginner morphs or paint jobs. So when you have codominant genes, if you pair, say, a lesser to a normal, you will get 50% of your offspring to show that codominant gene. For instance, in this case, lesser. If you breed a lesser to a lesser, which are the same exact gene, the same exact codominant gene, you pair them together, you have a 25% chance to produce a superform. But not only that, you also have a 25% chance to produce normals that don't carry het lesser, because that's not a thing. You do not get hets with codominant genes. Hets are only with recessive genes. So the superform of lesser is a bell, or a blue-eyed Lucy, or a blue-eyed leucistic. Basically just means that that animal is solid white with blue eyes. You can mix a plethora of different genes in that. Unfortunately, you will not be able to tell necessarily. I mean, there's a few tricks of the trade, but you can't really tell what all is in that animal. Sorry. For instance, pastel lessers are very common. A lot of people will even just give you or sell you a pastel lesser as a lesser. Pastel is one of those genes that, since it was introduced to the hobby, it's been washed out through genes after genes after genes, mixed in with this, mixed in with that, to the point where some people have pastel in their combos or pastels in their animals and they don't even know it. However, and it's not just with pastel either. You can say the same about yellow belly. Hell, I've seen the same thing with orange belly. You really got to know who you're going through. Regardless, if you have a pastel lesser to a pastel lesser, you have a 25, well, I can't really say 25% chance because you're adding more genes to it, but you have a chance to produce a super pastel super lesser, so a super pastel bell. If you was able to produce that animal, 100% of your offspring would be pastel lesser. If you had no pastel, it would still just be 100% lesser. Anytime you have a superform of no matter what gene it is, for instance, het red xanthic. I don't know why it's named that. It's a codominant gene. You take a het red to a het red, you produce a red xanthic, and that is the superform. I don't know why. Some people also call them laced blackbacks, green pastel as well. I haven't seen anything that separates either of those three. It's kind of like lesser and butter, also like banana and coral glow. However, when you pair any supers together, again, het red to het red, and you get a red xanthic, anytime you breed that superform to a normal, you're going to get 100% what that codominant gene is, but you'll only get one copy. You will not get two copies to make a superform. So If you pair a Bell, Blue-Eyed Lucy, to a normal, you will get 100% lessers. If you breed a Bell to a lesser, you will get 50% Bell and 50% lesser. You will not produce anything less than a lesser if you have a Bell. You will not produce, for instance, Super Pastel. You will not produce nothing less than Pastel. A lot of people, especially if you're going to get into it and breed, a lot of people will tell you it is good to get super forms, and they're not wrong. If you have a super, say you have a Super Pastel, or not even Super Pastel, sorry, a Super Lesser or a Super Mojave, a Super Butter, all in the Blue-Eyed Lucy complex. With the Super Mojave having more of a, get away from me, fly. The Super Mojave will have more of a purple head than the other codominant gene supers. However, if you have, just say, a Bell, whether it be a lesser Mojave or whatever, say you have the lesser Mojave, whatever, male, and you have a few normal females. Obviously, your females will be more expensive, so if you get normal females that are ready to breed, they will be a lot cheaper than a Bell female ready to breed, for instance. So it may be more beneficial in initial startup to just get normals and a super form. That way your male will produce all lessers, so your females, if say you have two normal size or normal breeder size females, they produce you 6 eggs per clutch, and that male is ensuring that all 6 of those eggs per clutch, so a total of 12 eggs between the two per season, 100% lessers. Obviously, then you can take a female lesser, hold that back, or all your female lessers, hold them back, run your male through them as well. That is okay. You can line breed reptiles. There's been, again, no issues documented. So if you breed the male Bell back to its lesser daughters, you will produce 50% of your clutches to be Blue-Eyed Lucy's. Even if your male may be Mojave in there, yes, it is possible for you to produce a Mojave, but typically what you're going to do is produce Bells where there should be Mojaves if your male is Mojave lesser. That's really all there is when it comes to codominance. Ooh, excuse me. If you guys have different genes in mind that you're unsure what category they fit into out of the 3, leave a comment down below asking, and I will make sure that I answer it. But please, guys, do not ask me for a list of codominant genes. As I stated in the last video, there's way too many. Alright, guys, I'm going to do the next video now. Take care.